Hi everyone. In this video, we are wanting to talk about the microcosms that can be found in the universe to better understand the soul of the universe and the spirit of the universe. So the first one that we start to see the interaction in is, well, it's the body.
Well, yes. I mean, that's the easiest way to explain it is through the body, because
Hmm.
we all know how our bodies function, essentially. And when you're talking about like the soul of the world, the all, and the universe, and it's so expansive that most people are,
It's really
it's
hard to
like,
get your head
okay,
around, yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's hard to get conceptual about it unless you are a Sagittarius. Otherwise, it's like, okay, what does that mean, though?
Right, right.
You know, because now you're talking about objects uh, out in the universe, all the objects, and then the spaces in between them, and all this energy being projected inside of it. And what does that mean? And how does that work? It's almost like trying to figure out time outside of our solar system.
Right.
How would you figure that out? Because time is regulated by revolutions around our sun. When you leave the solar system, revolutions around our sun mean nothing. I mean, essentially,
Right, right.
when you
Yeah.
get there. So bringing it in is going to help people, I think, understand more or less how it works
Hmm.
and why that's important in the first place.
Right,
Because I
right.
think people think of those as concepts that are way out, almost like the all. But that's way out there. Why do we need to figure that out? Well, because you need to know how the all breaks down in, again, our solar system, us,
Right.
okay, our minds, and how it filters through everything.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what we're going to be discussing today. So when we talk about the breakdowns of the all, because we all know, we've talked about this before. The first part was division. And essentially, the division is the soul of the universe and the spirit of the universe.
Right.
Okay. The soul of the universe essentially being the first part of that, because that is the reflection
Hmm.
aspect, because that was, again, the first division. So it's reflection, and it's reflecting everything. And at the same time, off its surfaces, it's refracting at the same time. Now, what reflects as far as when you look at feminine energy? The reflective surface is going to be water.
Water, yeah.
Water is going to be the one that reflects. Right?
Hmm.
Okay. Light. Okay, that's what's going to be reflecting light. Okay. However, sound reflects off surface. So air is going to be reflecting off of earth,
Earth. Oh, wow. Okay.
and fire is going to be reflecting off of
Water.
water.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
That's two dimensionally. Something else happens too, though. Okay. Refraction. Now we're talking something different, because light refracts off, right?
Hmm.
But this is where it's going to get weird, because this is where feminine energy becomes feminine energy, and it's not just water and earth separate.
Right.
Okay. Because you're talking about energy and light refracting off the surface of water. Surface being earth, water being water.
Yeah.
So total femininity here. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Air does the
Okay.
same thing.
Good sound. Yeah.
Well, not just sound, moving air,
Hmm.
creating waves in the oceans, how air
Oh,
interacts
okay. Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
water.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the same concept, because water has a surface. The air hits the surface and it reflects and refracts off the surface of the water.
Okay, that's interesting because that'll
Okay.
drive the functionality then
It
of
does.
cymatic
Right. But
energy.
what else does that? Light does that
Yeah.
through heat. It hits the water and releases,
Ooh.
okay, which creates weather
Ooh.
and weather patterns and everything that we do. And
Everything that we know,
yes,
the water
everything that we know.
cycle and
Yes,
everything. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, all of the cycles. Okay, it's like, okay, so that is very. I mean, that's interesting.
Wow.
Okay, when you look at it that way. Okay, but in those terms, that is what the spirit of the universe and the soul of the universe are doing continually,
Mm-hmm.
even outside of just liquid water. As you get into the universe,
Right.
it's
Right.
following the same laws
Mm-hmm.
of reflection and refraction. Okay, it's working a bit differently because the the actual elements are in a different form,
Mm-hmm.
but it retains its powers.
The
Yeah,
functionality and the nature of it's still going to be the same.
yes.
I mean, that's
So it's going to
yeah.
continually do the same thing.
Right.
Okay, which is strange, but that's how it
That's very
works.
odd because
Yeah,
that would explain, some like ripples that you see on stars, like say on the sun, for example, and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's the same effect. And then, so we've gotten where we're talking about, water and air now as the, not just here, every planet in our solar system works this way. Outside it, I don't know. I would think that yes, but that's a guess, that's theory because we haven't actually gone out there yet to see.
Right. Right.
So I'm going
It
to keep
would
it inside of our solar system
it
as
would
we
it
talk
would
about
make
this stuff.
sense outside of the solar system simply from the principle of
Yes,
correspondence, the as
it
above, so
it's
below.
reasonable,
It's reasonable to assume that,
but
but
we don't have any
we don't
proof.
have any proof of it.
Yes, so we're going to stay within the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but we're still talking about reflection and refraction. So how does that work with the sun? What and our sun?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our center. Okay, and the sun is the center of everything
Right. Right.
in a person's chart. Okay, in the solar system, everywhere the sun is the central point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and everything kind of revolves around that thing. And but what does it do? It creates heat, light for us. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, with all the other planets, they're still reflecting
Yeah.
the sun. It's not just the moon. Everybody always thinks, oh, it's the moon. The moon reflects. It's full moon. But all the other planets you
All of
see
them,
are reflecting light of the sun at the
all of
same
them
time.
do. That's how you're able to see them. I mean,
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
we look up
Stars create their own.
Venus, in the
Right.
early morning.
Yes, but stars create their own. Planets reflect
Mm-hmm.
and refract energy off them. Okay, so it's doing exactly the same things that we just talked about.
Right. Right.
Okay, and all planets are inherently Earth because they're objects. They're consolidated energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have the exact same process happening. Light from the sun's coming out and it's reflecting and refracting off the planets. And as far as we're concerned, all of that energy then comes down to us.
Right.
Okay, to make it vital for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you're looking at somebody's birth chart, that's what you're seeing. What happened when they were born, what the sun was doing, and how the energy's all reflected and refracted, bam, and hit you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the planets themselves, even though they reflect, they act as filters as they're reflecting. So the energies that are coming through them, that sunlight, okay, and that heat is releasing it
Mm-hmm.
and allowing it to flow to us, essentially. The same way that we don't freeze to death because the sun is doing the same thing to us.
Right. Right.
Okay. And with the moon, with our moon, it doesn't just do that. It also, because of that energy, is dealing with tides. Okay. It's dealing with all sorts of cycles on the planet. Okay. It deals with feminine cycles in the body. They have noted,
Interesting.
yep, they've
Okay.
noted that the moon does have
The moon does have a
a
direct effect
direct
on the.
effect on the menstruation cycles in women, in women, females, which is interesting. Okay? And they have
Wow.
done repeated studies on these things.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, to to the point where you can say yes, that's been factually proven that that does happen. Okay, but that's another thing that our moon is doing for us because it's so close to us,
Mm-hmm.
and the gravity affects us in such a way. Okay,
Interesting. Okay.
okay? But again, feminine, feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, even the water is feminine energy. That it's as far as the tides are concerned.
Right. Right.
Okay, so It's just interesting how the cycles and the processes are still the same, and they're causing that. Now we know that the moon does that to us. Okay, you want to expand on that so that you know now. Okay, the sun is doing that with the other planets also in its own way, and outside of our solar system, it's acting in similar ways to determine, basic reality in 3 dimensions. It's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting when you start really working into those things. Okay, and then holding things in orbits. Okay, through its center of gravity, through the planet's center of gravity. It's just interesting when you look at all of those things happening together. Okay, but when we're talking about us, okay, most people that I've talked to assume, as far as like our glands are concerned, that the pineal gland is feminine and the moon,
Mm-hmm.
Cancer, because that's when we work into the planets. We have two planets, okay, and they're not really planets. You should really call them lights, but we call
Oh,
them planets.
the Great Lights.
The
Yeah.
moon
Yeah.
and the sun.
Yeah.
Sun rules Leo, moon rules Cancer, and that's it. And it's the only objects that rule one element only. Or I'm sorry, not element, but one sign only.
One sign only.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you look at it that way, most people think that it's the pineal gland is the moon, and that would be
Mm-hmm.
correct. But they think the pituitary gland is the sun, and that is incorrect. The pituitary gland is not the sun. The pituitary gland is Jupiter. Okay?
Okay.
It
Yeah.
corresponds to
Yeah.
the crown chakra,
Crown chakra,
and the
which
sun does not.
right,
Okay? The sun is the pancreas
and the solar plexus
and the
chakra.
solar plexus chakra.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that's how the chakras kind of deviate off everything, so that you can't just kind of go, oh, well, all of this can always works the same way. It doesn't. When you have those different divisions,
Mm.
it changes physically how things react. Because most people, again, would have thought, because a long time ago I did, until I started doing more research into it, that the pineal and the pituitary would have been the breakdown, and they just aren't.
It would seemingly,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, make sense to my logical brain for that to work that way. But
It
knowing
would,
what I do, having
right.
studied the
But one
glands and
thing that
studied
we
with
have to,
you.
right, but one thing that we have to look at is the fact that all of the endocrine glands and all of the planets are feminine in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then all of the nerve plexuses are masculine in nature. So that split is the spirit of the universe, so your nerve plexuses. Your endocrine glands, okay, are the soul of the universe.
Interesting.
Okay?
Okay, so it's the nerve plexus. It
Right,
pours energy in.
right. Now, the chakra centers, because they do lay upon the body and that gives them consolidated energy, are earth. The energy within them is fire, or you could say is fire.
Mm.
But they themselves are earth. So the chakras are earth too. Okay? However, they're not solid objects like planets.
Right.
Okay? So they're included in the fire a lot, because when you're working with chakras, you're not just working, you're not so much working with the chakra center, you're working with the energy inside it. And the energy inside it is masculine
Right.
because it's energy
It's fire.
and it has color.
Right.
Okay? And of course, we can relate that all the way back to light. There's fire.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the energies within the chakras are your spirit of the universe. The chakras themselves are the soul of the universe. The endocrine glands are the soul of the universe. The nerve plexuses are the spirit of the universe. Okay, that's the first breakdown we're going to talk about when it comes to that. Okay, and how they break that down.
That's fascinating.
Okay,
That's fascinating
so
because it's the electrical impulses, the masculine energy,
yes,
fire,
yeah,
that pours in
yes, it's
to
projected,
to direct,
right, and they send messages up.
send messages up to the brain, which really would trigger, well, the hypothalamus.
Yes, well, it's going to first it's going to sit in the brain. The energy itself going to the brain is masculine.
Mm.
Okay? The energy that's flowing is fire.
Right,
The
right,
messages coming back are air.
right.
And that gives you total masculine energy right there. That's the spirit of the universe working through your body.
Hmm.
Okay.
And it's going to be, it's your brain that projects the information to where it needs to go
Yes. Yeah.
for the other parts of your body to function. So the endocrine glands, for example.
Right. But it's going to send that again. Then it's going to look at it and go, the energy's in there, and it's like, okay, now what? Pituitary, essentially.
Hmm.
Jupiter, the crown chakra.
Let's blow this out.
Yeah, let's blow this out. However, something else is going to come into play because most people, again, don't realize that the main function of the endocrine glands is hormonal.
Right, right.
I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's hormonal.
Hmm.
They send out hormones. Hormones are invariably feminine.
Hmm.
Okay, even though testosterone is a masculine hormone, hormones themselves are essentially feminine.
Right.
Okay, okay, they're receptive of things. See, I mean, we don't need to get into all that, but so because of that, we need to bring in feeling,
Hmm.
okay, emotion. We talked about the substance, about the chakras themselves, the planets. Okay, now we need to talk about, and then of course the glands themselves,
Hmm.
because they're objects inside of us. They're going to be feminine
Right, right.
in nature. So we've got all these. We've got hormones, okay, and hormones regulate not just sugar and insulin and things of that nature in the body, but what else do they regulate? Moods, emotions,
Mood, emotion, your circadian
right?
cycles.
Sleep,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yep. Sleep, um, blood pressure, heart rhythm.
Right. What? Yeah, white blood cells. Oh, I mean everything that you can
Yeah.
think of.
Oh
They
yeah.
regulate all sorts of things.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but a lot of that you feel.
Hmm.
I mean,
Oh, you can. It's as
anybody that's ever gone through puberty has felt emotions.
well. Well, that's
Okay.
one way to say. Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Yes, but
No,
they affect
it's as
a
soon.
certain gender more than they do another,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and that's why again we say that they're inherently feminine because of the effect that those hormones have on the female body more so than the male.
Hmm.
And it's not like they don't affect the male body; they do, but it's in a
Right.
different way. It's in a completely different way.
It's
Okay.
more. Uh, I guess the wall is put up between with emotion for masculine for
Well,
males
it's that, and it's how
from
the
what I can
brain
tell
processes
from my
the
experience
right.
going through everything.
Yeah, it's how the brain processes
It's
the
more of
information also,
it's more of a well exactly
because the brains don't work exactly the
for
same.
males you get more of a physical release. That's where you start getting your muscle growth and your
Yes, yes,
and all of that.
right. Women get wider hips and
Hmm.
those things, but yes, males start to grow
Hmm.
to the point where sometimes it's painful for them.
Right.
If you've ever known anybody who's grown, 6 inches in a year,
Oh yeah, yeah. This guy right
yeah,
here.
a lot of boys can feel it. They hurt,
That
they ache,
was
their bones hurt, and that's why.
5'6" by the time I was 10. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
yeah, that'll do it.
It hurts.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
I
Yeah,
still got the scars to prove it.
yes, you know. So again, so the pineal gland is going to be working through the brow chakras. Um, Jupiter is going to be working through the pituitary gland, okay,
Hmm.
and the crown chakra. And we've got something else that's going to come into play. And here's where we get into a divide that we have to really explain. I'm going to talk about the heart chakra now. When we talk about endocrine glands, we talk about the heart, the muscle, the heart.
Hmm.
Okay, the muscle, the heart, and the heart chakra are separate. They're divided. They're not.
Right.
They're not even ruled by the same planet. I mean,
They're not correlated
no.
at all.
Pluto rules the heart chakra.
Hmm.
I've had a lot of discussions, heated discussions with people about that one. Okay, and they just don't. They're like, no, it's got to be Venus, and it's like, no, it doesn't have to be Venus. Venus has more to do with what we call the hand chakra. The hand chakra is about physical intimacy, and intimacy in any way. It's your senses.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you interpret anything around you. Okay? It's your emotional structure. That's Venus.
Yeah, Taurus. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Pluto is about transformation. That's more your heart chakra, not the
Mm-hmm.
heart muscle. Not to mention that when you bring in the heart muscle itself, the heart muscle can think.
Yeah,
It has neurons,
yeah.
okay? Thousands of them. It can think on its own. It can also release hormones that it wants on its own without having to go through the brain or any other glands.
Right, right.
It can just do them. Those are going to be more instinctive, I would think.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know, the thing of,
It's things that are that's
the mothers that
these.
lift cars up and stuff off their
Oh
kids.
yeah, it's
That's
the
the heart.
it's the immediate, the fight or
Yes,
flight, survival situation. Oh, I got to get this car off of him
yes,
right
yes,
now.
yes. It's also that release that, like female grizzly bears have,
Mm-hmm.
where a male's like, if there's cubs, I'm not messing with her. If there's no cubs, they tend not to care.
Right, right.
But if there's cubs around, they know, don't do this, because that energy is she's gonna start pumping
Right, right.
adrenaline, and he's not gonna match it, and he's gonna be running with his tail between his legs because of
Right,
that.
right. Yeah.
Okay, but again, it's going to affect her in a way that it isn't going to affect him, because the hormonal things that we're talking about and Venus are more feminine in nature. They're going to affect that aspect more
Mm-hmm.
than the male would. Males are more like, okay, I need to protect you. I need to do this. I need to do this. I'm going to fight for food, for whatever, for dominance. It's
Right, right.
different.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
It's different. Okay. Where women, when they get that release, it's usually in a protective state,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times it's not for themselves.
No, no.
Okay, it's for their children, and that's
Or someone they
something
feel
different.
responsible
Yes,
for. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and then it comes out, and then it's boom, you better look out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that type of situation. But anyway, okay, because we're talking about that, when that's why Venus is the heart. It's the hormonal hub. The heart is the hormonal hub.
Mm-hmm.
It needs nothing else other than itself to do anything.
Right,
Okay, the pituitary gland needs the hypothalamus. I mean, and the pineal, and I mean, it needs all these things working
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
to regulate and make everything
Mm-hmm.
go the way that it's supposed to. Where the heart does not. Instinctively, the heart can just send whatever it wants out. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and when it sends it out, those things bind to proteins in the body.
Right.
Okay? So it works. There's a lot of other hormones that can go through the bloodstream and not have that same effect.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of get a little maybe flushed out.
Right.
They don't have the effect that those do. The heart is able to do that. And again, that's why it's Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the heart itself. And there's something about the heart.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're finding all of these things out, years ago, people talked about the fact that the heart can feel. Your heart can think. It knows things.
Oh, that was you
It's
find that
instinctive.
you find that all across ancient texts all over
Right.
the place. I mean, go back to the Hebrew Testament,
Yeah.
the Book of Proverbs.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
And it's more loving, it's more intimate. When you're talking about the heart chakra is more transformative. When they talk about the heart transforming, you
Right, right.
transform through the heart first and blah, blah, blah. That's Pluto, that's Scorpio, that's Aries. Okay. Also, some of the negative aspects of the heart,
Mm,
you have to look at Scorpio and Aries. Stalkers, domestic violence. If I can't have you, no one will. The fine line between love and hate.
mm-hmm.
That's Pluto.
Right, right.
That's Pluto going in and just laying everything to waste. And it's an imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get Aries and Scorpio together, everybody knows, because, unlike, and it's not like Mars. because it's Scorpio first.
Right, right.
So it's not two guys getting upset with each other, throwing down, and as soon as they're done, helping each other up and going, hey, that was great. That was a good punch, man. And then you're best friends for life,
Right, right, right.
for a fight.
Yeah.
Scorpio's not that one. Scorpio's the one that, will end up destroying everything
Yeah.
and can't let go. That holding on to resentment, that's Scorpio.
Hmm.
And you see that a lot in love and relationships, but that's the interplay between the actual heart and the heart chakra. And that's the difference. But it rules the hypothalamus, Pluto, and the heart chakra. Okay? That's what's regulated by them. And then it goes from there to the pituitary.
Hmm.
And then from the pituitary down. And the pituitary, again, acts like it's supposed to. It's very expansive. It's Jupiter. It's conceptual. Okay? We got to control all these things for the entire body. Who are you going to leave that up to? Jupiter.
Right.
Because that's how Jupiter's going to look at it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to get lost in the details. So you're not giving it to Mercury for Virgo. You're not doing those things. You're going to give it to Sag, and you're going to give it to Pisces. Okay, to go down and go, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay,
Right.
this is how we're flowing it. This is how we're regulating it. And this is what's going to happen. And all systems are going to work, even if they're a little whacked out because of what we're eating and things of that nature. They're still going to work.
Right. Right.
As well as we can get them to work. Okay. And that's how that is going to go. Now,
it's interesting that it's Sagittarius and Pisces though too, because that's all spiritual energy.
It is yes. It's all spiritual energy, but that's also life. Yeah, because it's mutable. It's all mutable energy, yes. But at the same time, it's flexible and it's adaptable, and it needs to be. The pituitary has to be like that.
Right, right.
Because it pretty much controls everything.
Okay,
other than what the heart's doing.
Right, right.
Okay, which is a perfect balance.
Right, right.
It's a perfect balance. And also, you're talking about hormones going down, growth happening, all of that. Again, expansion. You're talking Sag. How we're expanding, where we're expanding, what we're doing, how we're doing it. Jupiter's going to be like, hey, that's my job. Right? That's what it's going to do. And then, of course, everything goes through the rest. And we've talked about the colors of the chakra again, flowing through. Those are doing their own thing, right?
Right, right.
What are those colors doing? What do those colors regulate? They regulate the aura. Okay, and the aura is a little different too.
It is because it's
and how the aura uses
it's
the
an electromagnetic field around you.
Well, it is, but I mean how it internally works.
Right.
It has its own hubs. Saturn is a hub for it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's one of them.
Yeah. The root. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, what is it ruled by?
Capricorn, Saturn. Yeah.
No, the aura.
The aura.
What is the aura? Quiz. What's the aura?
Oh, it's Sagittarius.
Yes. Energy. And what planet would that be?
Jupiter.
Jupiter. Okay.
Yeah.
Jupiter. Pituitary gland. Jupiter. Okay. So expanding the field, and then anything that comes through the field, those messages are going to Saturn again, just to get organized.
Right.
No, nothing involved. They're just getting organized, and they're getting sent up to
Mercury with the throat.
Yes, Mercury. Mercury is disseminating all of that information and sending it out. Everything where it needs to go. Okay. And then Jupiter is above all of that, creating this field around it so that it can all work together.
Right.
Okay. And then it expands the field or shrinks the field, however that your energy is in that area. Okay. So you've got that hub for the colors, or the color mixations for the chakras, and the energy that's coming in. Then you've got the heart that's regulating all of these hormones going through your body. Okay. At times where it needs to be, working with Jupiter that's doing the same thing through the pituitary gland. Okay. And then you've got stuff that's just flooding in through your pineal gland. Okay. Going into it, your pituitary gland, essentially. Yeah. Okay. And then you have your hypothalamus that's sitting on top of all of that going, okay. That's the crown chakra.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Working through it. Okay. I'm sorry, not the crown chakra. I'm sorry, the heart chakra.
The heart chakra.
the heart
Yeah,
chakra,
yeah, yeah.
right? The feeling, but it's also giving the pituitary gland that connection to,
To the rest.
well, to the heart,
Yeah.
the heart muscle
Mm-hmm.
itself, Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, helping regulate all that
Right,
because there's
right,
a tie-in with the heart energy
right. Yeah.
with that. Okay, and being over the hypothalamus, it's over Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the heart, when you look at it that way, is actually more powerful, the energy wise and control wise, than your pituitary gland.
That's fascinating
Being
because that
inherently
explains a
feminine.
lot of what they're finding in neuroscience now too.
Okay, I'm not really sure. I mean,
It's
I do a little bit in there, but
well, it's something new that
you're more into those
I
than I
just
am.
started hearing. But the primary nerve that connects the heart and the brain,
Mm-hmm.
it's a really thick nerve, but most of the information flows in one direction, and it's from the heart to the brain.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then. Yeah, yeah, for that. And again, that tie-in because it's a nerve is going to be spirit of the universe because it's going to be a nerve going through a
Mm-hmm.
nerve plexus,
Yeah.
and they have their
Yeah.
own hubs
Mm-hmm.
going through. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting how all of the tie-ins work together, and how all of these different energy centers that we have, and what would you even call them, energy structures that we have,
Right. Right.
work,
Yeah.
and how it all relates to each other,
It's just absolutely
and where it
fascinating
goes.
that science is now corresponding with what we're speaking about
Right.
and teaching. Um, it's just going to again prove that science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Yeah. But they knew that a long time ago.
You're right. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
divide happened a long time ago, and it shouldn't have.
Right. Right.
In my opinion, it shouldn't have,
Mm.
but it did because there were people. There were many people that talked about how they work together.
Oh, a good many. I
Well,
mean, you got
Hippocrates was one of them.
yeah.
Pythagoras, Hippocrates,
Pythagoras, Agrippa,
yeah, Agrippa, Plato,
Plato.
Aristotle. They all did. They all spoke about it. Plotinus,
Mm.
Porphyry, Iamblichus. I mean, they all got into
Yeah. Yeah.
to those aspects. Um, well, even later on, I mean, think about Mr. Weirdhair Einstein.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, his big quote that I always use. You
Mm.
Science without
Religion is deadly
right, religion is deadly, and religion
without
without
science.
science is ignorant.
Right.
He wasn't that long ago,
No. No.
and even he got the tie-in. But we've shifted
Mm.
so far away and made that divide so large now
Mm.
that it's not even a spirituality science issue anymore. It's a religion science issue.
Right.
And it shouldn't ever have been a religious science issue because religion is completely different than spirituality.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You can't fix that particular divide on
Mm.
certain things. Spirituality you can because it's pre-tradition, it's pre-religion.
Right.
It's just
Well, it
dealing with
comes.
the spiritual principles that work with the scientific principles and how
Mm.
everything works. It's after that that you get the divides into the religious aspects of
Right. Right.
how you want to connect on a spiritual level. And that's where religions come in. They give you a way and a path to do that.
Right.
And
And
people jump
an
on
organized
particular ones.
structure of ceremony and tradition
Mm-hmm.
um, to practice your faith. But
Yes.
faith and religion are not one and the same.
No, they're not. They're not. They're not at all. Catholicism is a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Christianity is a faith.
Right.
You know, most people miss that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, all Catholics are Christians, but not all Christians are Catholic.
Right.
People are like, what? It's like, yes, there is a division there. And almost every religion on the planet has those divides
Mm-hmm.
because one system doesn't work for every person.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't.
Right. Right.
Um, and again, my belief is follow the customs, the rules and things of whatever tradition you're a part of, and you're good, as far as I'm concerned. If you are a part of a religion and you don't agree with those, I would say find another tradition that you do.
Mm-hmm.
work well with. If you don't want to do that, then you're going to have to conform to those. But you don't try to go in and change your religion either.
Right, right.
You don't like it, pick a different one and go to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And there are some people out there that won't pick one. Religion is a necessity for many people. For others, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own faith. And essentially almost like their own religion
Mm-hmm.
background. That takes a very deep, committed relationship, though, with spirituality to get there.
Right, right.
It's not one of those, well, I like this and I like this and I like this, because there's a lot of that going on too.
Yeah.
Well, I like this part of this, but not that. And I like this part of this,
Right.
not that. And then they try to build something
Well,
and it's not balanced and it doesn't work.
as you kind of grow in your experience of faith, you
Mm-hmm.
can get there,
You can.
but it takes time. I mean,
It does. It takes time and it takes a lot of study
that's
of your
a
own, of yourself.
process that I am currently going through myself.
Yes. And it's a long journey. It's a lifelong journey.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna continue it for the rest of your life.
Right.
I've been doing it for 30, 30 plus years. I've been doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've developed over that course of time a faith.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was brought up Jewish, right? Married Catholic, divorced Catholic. Okay. And I was ordained as a Christian minister. Okay. Still, though, consider myself Jewish and Christian. Okay.
Well, Jesus was a Jew.
He was. I've worked with Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
I have even worked I've worked with different pagan groups. I worked with Wiccan covens. I've worked with Druid groves. I've worked with solitary practitioners. I've worked with shamans. I've worked with a number of different people on different things. I have been able, at this point in my life, I can go into pretty much any of these people's ceremonies and get out of it what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy that. However, I would never go into a shamanic ceremony and think that I'm shaman. I'm not.
Right, right.
Okay? I'm not Catholic. Okay? As far as faith is concerned, yeah, I'm Christian, I'm Jewish, I'm a lot of things. But as far as a religion is concerned, I'm nothing. I'm none of them.
Right,
I'm
right.
my own at this point. And I'm okay with that. But it took a long time to get there.
Well, like you
It
said,
did.
like you said, it's a lifelong journey.
It is. It's a lifelong journey.
I'm just thinking about my own path,
Yeah.
you know.
And there are a lot of people out there, again, that I said, that need a structured religion to
Mm-hmm.
join. They want the fellowship. And fellowship
Mm-hmm.
is, I believe it's a necessity.
It is, yes.
You can't just be a solitary practitioner. You're not going to get everything you need out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You need the fellowship of other people, or you're going to get lost in your own ego and your own insecurities, and it's going to come crumbling down.
Oh yeah,
I've seen
for
people
sure.
do it. You know, I've had issues with my own path work that have done things of that similar.
Mm-hmm.
Taught me many lessons.
Right, right.
On those things. Yeah. Okay. What I try to work on now are things that all of them have in common.
Mm-hmm.
What do they all have in common? Every religion on the planet that I can find. What do they have in common? Masculine, feminine, and elements. Whether you know it or not.
Right.
Because generally I can walk in and break anybody's ritual down and go, that's fire, that's air, that's earth. Here's your masculine stuff. Here are the celestials, how they play out. And they just kind of look at me like, oh, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. And at a base fundamental level, at some point, you know, the Hermetic
and most of them
and
work with, the Hermetic principles. Most of them work directly with them.
Mm-hmm.
They agree with them. There are Hermetic principles that science agrees with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Vibration, rhythm, all of that. So,
well, it's getting to the point now where they're beginning to recognize and acknowledge, you know, as above, you know, the principle of correspondence, as above, so below.
Yeah, the last video we did. Yeah, I don't want to get back into that because That's a pathway that I can segue into really easily and not come back from.
um,
But as far as what we're getting, I mean, what this one's about, being the soul
getting
of the
back.
world,
Yeah.
spirit of, or soul of the universe, spirit of the universe. Okay. Understanding those types of breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, will give you an understanding of how the solar system works.
Mm-hmm.
There are celestials also that connect to all of these different things. Part of spirituality is connecting with celestial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is. Whether that be the all, whatever you want to call it, there is an intelligence, as we've talked about it, with the soul of the universe,
Right.
because
Right.
it's both conscious and unconscious.
Right.
There is intelligence connected with, and celestials connected with the spirit of the universe,
Mm-hmm.
because it's ambition, it's drive, it's motion.
Constantly moving.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's constantly moving. Something is driving that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you have your celestial. So to try to work a system that doesn't have celestials in it doesn't work either.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find celestials to work them with. And I would suggest that you work with celestials that project energy and don't feed off it.
Right.
Because there are some that I call darker celestials that feed. And I mean, they're parasites.
Mm-hmm.
They're the celestial parasites. That's really all you can call them. And that's what they do.
Right. Okay.
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 But you also have to remember that when dealing with celestials, they have their own agendas.
Oh yeah.
And they have
Well,
their
it's
own duties. They have, even within Christianity, and a lot of people miss this. Yes, you have Jesus Christ for Christianity.
mm-hmm.
Okay, top dog, CEO, whatever you want to call him. Okay. However, you have to look at it like you would a corporation. You have all of these other ones working around this one
Mm-hmm.
that have their own duties and things and responsibilities and things that they do. It's because I've had people that are like, well, why would you work with these if you can go straight to the source? It's like, because these are what's going to get sent to do it.
Right.
Just because you know the CEO of a company doesn't mean that you call them every time you have a problem.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
My internet connection's down. Hey, Bill Gates, I need your help, man. My internet's down. Who's your provider? Call your provider, man. Click. Okay, wrong department.
Right. Right.
Because what's going to happen is, okay, hang the phone up. They have to direct this to them. They have to directing that one to 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 that one. And when everyone's going through the same hub, it can take a little more time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, understand the departments. Understand who to work with, what to work with, when to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Not to mention that the CEO has their own duties
Right.
to attend to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And even though they might love to help you, at the same time, there are others that can allow this one to do other things. It's like the whole thing of Bruce Almighty, where all the prayers were coming in.
Right. Right.
And he's like, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
God came to him and went, that's just this area right here that you live in. This is like a 12-block radius, buddy. Right? Think of that for most, every Christian on the planet.
Right.
Woo! Now, if instead of doing that, so he has to and try to figure out what prayers are going where, if you can go to the department that handle those particular prayers, you might get a faster request
Mm-hmm.
and someone that's going to pay a little more attention to it.
Right.
Because
right.
it came directly from you
Mm-hmm.
and not with 30 others.
Mm-hmm.
Or, to be more precise, 30,000 others at once. Wham! There you go.
Right. Right.
Because what you're going to find out is that, especially when you're working like what we do, the systems that we work, you're not really like going there and Hey, I need your help. They're allowing you their energy
Yeah.
to deal with things. So they don't have to consciously do it.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between dealing with the graceful ones and the dark or fallen ones is you don't command them. And if you're not doing things correctly, they'll cut that energy line right off.
Mm-hmm.
No, 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 no. And again, when we talk about
Right.
correspondence, half the time, whatever you're praying for is not really what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got beings that are looking at 30,000 prayers going, okay, is this what these people really want? That's not what they're looking for.
Right.
They're looking for this. But I know these people.
Mm-hmm.
I know this one here, and I can't just give it. I got to figure out how they're going to figure it out on their own.
Gotta work through this
Right.
first. Gotta do this. Gotta do.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. You're going to have to do this first and this next. So we're going to give you the
Yeah.
opportunity to do that. And then if you don't do
So
that, we got to do something else.
This challenge to overcome, so it's not too easy for you.
Right. Or you're going to get two
Make
prayers
sure
that
you're
come in
ready.
almost next to each other that don't work together at all. It's
Right.
like, well, okay. How does this factor in?
Right. But again,
You
that's
know.
where
I want to be the richest man in the world, yet I want to be the best father.
Yeah.
You can't really be the richest man in the world because you got to put so much time into that you're not going to probably be the best father in the world too.
Yeah.
There's got to be a balance there, guys.
Not gonna happen.
Right? So what does that actually mean? And again,
but it ties back into what you've talked about before too. Is essentially when creating
right,
a ceremony or a prayer or something, effectively long term, you're essentially going to be creating a chart.
right. But tying it back to this,
Mm-hmm.
you have to work it the same way that the heart is going to work with the pituitary gland and the crown chakra,
Right.
okay,
Right. Yeah.
and the hypothalamus and
Right.
the heart chakra. Okay, they all have to tie in together because those are the ones that are going to go, no, that's not going to work. That you can't. No.
No.
We have to regulate all this together, and boom, here.
Right. Right.
And do it.
And if something is off,
right. But
one
because
of
we're
them will
talking
flush
about the
it out.
microcosm, that's how the celestials work also.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just going to work with one department because you're going to have different things going on, and each department's going to have to start communicating together, going, well, if they're doing this, I can't do that. Okay, well, let's figure this one out, this one out, this one out, this one out, this one out. So it's going to be again like a corporation.
Right.
Okay, not like a government. They don't control what you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be more like a corporation where you're a client.
Right.
If you wanted to go through like a government, that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
working with the dark ones.
Oof.
Because once they get a hook in you, you do what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And they start manipulating you, and they start doing these things.
Even though you think you're commanding them, yeah.
Yes, you think you're in control, but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
The same way when you work with a government. Same kind of systems there. Anyway, but again, the more you start understanding how your body is
mm-hmm.
dividing and sourcing out all of this energy,
mm-hmm.
the better understanding you're going to have of how the celestials do it, how the signs do it, the planets do it. If you work with angels, how the angels do it. That's when you're going to get a better understanding and go, okay.
Right.
And then you're going to be able to look at it and go, okay, what is it? Like when you talked about manifesting. What do I want?
Mm-hmm.
Do I even know?
Right.
Probably not. At this point,
mm-hmm.
as you start working it, you will. What do you want? And then what do I want? What do I need?
Mm-hmm.
Completely different there too. Because your wants may not work well with what you need.
Right.
Then you go back and go, well, God, I got all the stuff that I wanted, but my needs aren't met.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the richest man in the world, but I'm so depleted energy-wise that, I'm going to die in 10 days. I killed myself working. Or give yourself a heart attack.
Lonely.
Or
lonely. Yeah.
I want all this great, awesome tasting food and you have a heart attack.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, that's not what you needed. That's what you wanted.
Right,
Same
right,
thing.
right.
You know, I want to relax. That doesn't mean you need to smoke or drink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It means you need stress release.
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't understand that.
Right,
This is my stress release.
right.
That is a stress release. It
Especially, yeah,
doesn't have to be
especially,
yours.
especially in the West, yeah, for sure.
Well,
Because
the
you have,
West, the East, everybody does it.
well,
You
yeah,
know,
and it's everyone does it, but different cultures have different things that they do. Um, meditation.
well, they do. The problem is though that even, and we have that in the West too. The difference, I think, is that we live in the West,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and we have an idea of how the East works.
Right, right.
But when you meet people from the East, and I have, okay, they have the same issues we do,
Yeah,
and they do the same type of stuff that we do. Even though, you know, when you think about them, you think of, the red dot,
right.
you know,
Yeah,
yoga pose,
yeah.
you know, but, those are the ones that are, smoking themselves. Some of those cultures don't do it because they don't have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, most of those cultures nowadays do.
Right, right.
Like I said, since Iya is from Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we got in there, their life expectancy was well over 100. But we got in there, and now there's Coca-Cola, now there's fast food, now there's all this stuff there. Those numbers have been dropping.
Yeah.
Look at what happened with the Native American population
Mm-hmm.
when we introduced alcohol into it.
Oh, uh,
Destroyed.
yeah. Alcoholism
Um,
went through the
uh,
roof. Yeah,
yeah, it just
destroyed entire cultures.
it decimated.
Entire cultures. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
just decimated them. And but they were introduced to it like this, though.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't slowly introduced to them
Mm-hmm.
over time so that they could build up a balance, even though a lot of people still haven't built up a balance to it, but not to where it affected that community
Mm-hmm.
because they had there was no defense for it at all.
Right, right.
It was just whoa, what's going on? Boom, and then with everything that happened, that just magnified it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and but that's kind of that's the other part of it. When you pray for things, did you factor that in?
Mm-hmm.
I want a way to deal with my stress and blah 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 blah. Well, here's a bottle. That's what a dark would give you. Here's a bottle, or here's a line, or put this in a syringe. Or take this pill. Like, is that really dealing with it, or are you just killing the symptom?
Right.
Okay? Or creating a fantasy
Mm-hmm.
that I can live in for until it wears off, and then I'm right back where I was before, and it doesn't really do anything.
Right. Right.
Or as you brought up, like with the other culture, meditation and all of this, can I open up spiritually? Can I understand what's happening? Can I understand exactly what it is that I actually need
Mm-hmm.
to get through this so that it doesn't affect me, so that I can get a better life out of it? And that's when you start to understand it. And then you can go, okay, why? Because there's a lot of people out there, especially that know a little bit about astrology, right? And they'll say things like, you know, I just don't seem to be working my sun right. I'm just not. The energy's not right. It's not going right. It's like, how much sugar are you eating? It's like, why? Because what does your pancreas do?
Yeah.
Regulates insulin.
Yeah. And
That's
so.
off. You think the sun energy coming through that's going to be on? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not so much.
Right. But they're inherently tied together.
Right.
Right? I'm sick all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't seem to get over stuff very, very much. And I don't mean sick like cancer. I mean, you get sick all the time.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, what's going on with your Mars? right?
Mhm.
So your thymus, what's going on? It regulates your white blood cells.
Right.
Okay? So what's going on with that? Okay? Are you not utilizing Mars, Aries, Scorpio? Let's look at these things. The connection for the Doth chakra, which I call chakra, I know, but
Mhm.
Doth to me is a chakra. So the Doth chakra that connects everything together. Am I connected to everything? Am I connected to? Are my chakras connected to my planets? Are my planets connecting to the Sephiroth? Are they connecting to the angelic hierarchies? Okay? Are the angelic hierarchies connected into the 10 heavens? Okay? Is the
Mhm.
flow working? Okay? Am I working the pathway spiritually? Correct. If not, there's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I'm working my chakra energy. Okay, how does that correlate with the Sephiroth energy of the Kabbalah centers? Oh, hmm. Well, well, maybe not, right?
Mhm.
So it's learning all of those things,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, and how to
So,
work them together.
so
And when you're looking at your body,
which one, if you're trying to be spiritually enlightened, um, if you're having a hard time emotionally, depression, fear, anxiety, some stuff like that, which one of these would you look at first?
well, you brought up a bunch. I mean, depression, fear, anxiety. In what way? You know, you have to first pick one,
Okay.
okay, and it can't just be fear. I'm afraid. What are you afraid? What is the
Mhm.
big fear? And you might go, I don't know. Like, okay, you can start off with you don't know what the fear is. So I'm going to tell you, start working the fundamentals, okay? Because that's going to bring it up,
Okay.
okay? Especially when you start looking into what you like and what you don't like about yourself,
Mhm.
okay? Okay. And then you're going to look at your chart, okay? Where are my squares? Where are the challenges I'm having? Okay? As far as being afraid, is it a victimization thing? Do I need to look where Pisces and Neptune are? Or the 12th house? And what's in there? What's happening? What's aspecting these? What planets? What you have to, there's no simple answer for that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? If that's not it, nope, not my problem. Okay? What are you afraid of? Well, I haven't been on a date in 10 years. Hmm. Let's look at the 7th house.
Okay.
Let's look at Venus. Let's look at Libra. Okay. Let's look at planets that are aspecting that. Okay. For relationships. Why are you afraid of relationships? What's happening here? Okay. I just don't, I have no energy. I don't have any drive. I'm not motivated. Aries, Mars, first house. Okay. You have to figure out where it's coming from and what the problem actually is. It's the same thing with manifestation. I want this. What do you do about fear and depression and blah, 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 blah? Well, first of all, they're not all interrelated. Oh, they might
Right.
be,
Right. Right.
but probably not. They're probably coming from different areas. So you have to figure out which area is the biggest. Okay. And if there is a tie-in, where does it start? Okay. And then you may have to go back to more earthy stuff like go to Capricorn and go, okay, what's the function? Taurus is structure. Okay. Virgo is purpose.
Mhm.
What part of this isn't working? Am I not functioning right? Is my structure bad? Okay. Do I have a purpose? Okay. Hmm. And if you're like, well, maybe I'm not sure. Okay. Go look at your principles. Everybody has principles.
Mhm.
Look at your principles. Okay. Then look at your character. Are there flaws in your character? Okay. How's your presence around other people? How is your presence? Do you have a good presence? Exactly the same energy. Look at it from that standpoint. It's a lot easier to see it from that
Mm.
standpoint. Okay? But don't start looking at outside influences. Well, I'm depressed because my parents did this. Wrong. No. You reacted a certain way because your parents did that, but you're depressed because you're depressed.
Mm.
And it's you that's got the issue. And
Right,
it's you that
right,
has
right.
to fix it. And it's not going to be an outside fix
Mm.
for you. Okay? I hate my job. Get a new one. Well, it's not that easy. Actually, it is if you want to be happy. But again, all of your prayers were about making more money, not being happy.
Right. Yeah.
So you make a
Yeah.
lot of money and you hate your job.
Oh.
And in a sense, you hate yourself.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Some things can be fixed with outside like that. Career issues, things of that nature. Well, I'm depressed because I hate my job. Then get a new job. Well, I can't just go get a new job. Then what do you need to do in order to get a new job?
Mhm.
And not just to get a new job, to get a job you want to have and that you're going to feel good doing and that you're
Right.
going to
Right.
enjoy and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and will benefit your life in some way. Okay? Then the picture gets bigger.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh boy. Well, what would do that? Well, what's the first step? Well, going back to school. What's the first step about going back to school? Why aren't you in school now? Fix that. Then you can go to school. And a lot of people go, oh, that's a lot of steps. Yes, it is. But you can't just fix them like that.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
work like that. Nothing. I mean,
Mhm.
you know. But getting back, coming back around. The more you understand how you work, the better you're going to understand how to fix the situation you're in, no matter what it is, and make it more beneficial to you.
Mhm.
Some things you can't fix, especially if they have to deal with other people. I'm depressed because so and so doesn't love me. No, you're depressed because you feel lonely.
Mhm.
You're depressed because you're living in the past. A normal person wouldn't still be in love with somebody that doesn't want them or that isn't in love with them anymore.
Mhm.
You're not in love with that person. You're in love with the person that they used to be, that you were in love with. They're not the same person.
Memory. Yeah.
That's not a manifestation that you can make real
Mhm.
without affecting the free will of someone else. That's not going to happen. So again, is it realistic?
Mhm.
Just please, these things will tell you whether it is within yourself. Why did this person not leave? You say you're in love with them, but you did something obviously that made them leave. Were you actually in love with them,
Right.
or you just want what you had?
Mhm.
But when you had it, you didn't.
Mhm.
And there are those people too. They're always looking for something else. Doesn't matter what they have. It's not good enough. I need more. I need more.
Yeah.
Do you really need more?
Mhm.
Or are you okay where you're at? That's not for me to say. That's somebody else. But those are the
Right. Right.
questions you have
Right.
to ask yourself.
Yeah. 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 For
Okay.
sure.
And this is what's going to get you there. Okay. I don't feel like, I'm not radiating as much energy as I want. I'm not creatively expressing myself in the right way. And I'm eating too much damn sugar. Cut out the sugar. Number one, get your
Mhm.
pancreas working correctly. Now, let's go.
Right.
Now we'll work on Leo in the sun.
Mhm.
Ooh, okay. And your solar plexus chakra. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
And Kether, as far as the Kabbalah is concerned. Right? Yeah. Okay. And, and, and. And then
Right.
you can start answering those questions.
Mhm.
And there are people out there that can help you facilitate that, but there's no one that can actually tell you that.
Right.
You have to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Other people can help you along, but you're the one doing it. As far as your past is concerned, cut as much of it off as you possibly can. Some things stay with you. Those things face and deal with. That's all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Will there be blowback? Probably, but the blowback will go away once it's cut. It'll happen. Then that'll be a part of your past, and that's where you leave it.
Right.
Okay? And as long as you leave it there, nobody else can bring it back up to you. And even if they do, it doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
because you've already dealt with that issue or situation, and you're done. Other things that'll come in. Well, let's not get into that. That's taking me on another path. Let's get back to this. Okay. The split, the microcosm. How we work is exactly the way that everything else works.
Mm-hmm.
How we work is how other people work. If you are a healer, this is your keys. This is how you determine somebody else's blueprints. You start figuring out these questions.
Right.
What are they
Yeah.
doing? Hippocrates was big in that. It wasn't just, okay, this is medical. Here's a pill, take that for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, no, we're going to see psychologically where you're at. We're going to see physically where you're at. We're going to see medically where you're at. All of it. And then if you need something to deal with symptoms right now, you don't take them for the rest of your life. Certain things you have to. If you're a diabetic, you're going to have to take insulin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times where you can't do that.
Right. Right.
However,
Mm-hmm.
there are other ones where you can, and you're just doing it because it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to just continue to eat what you want and take pills.
Right. Right.
Or do whatever you want and do this. Okay, or sit in front of a television and don't not get any exercise and wonder, why you're achy and your body hurts all the time and
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the exercise and you're having a hard time getting up the stairs. Well, you got to move. You got to continue to move. Your body needs movement. Everything needs movement. Fire wants to move, motion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can't tie it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have to express things too. Fire needs expression. If you don't express it, it's going to burn you up from the inside out, and it's going to hit your glands.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem that most people have. Now, can you work out every problem in somebody's body by dealing with their glands? No, you can't. A lot of them, yes, but not all of them. Some of them, you're going to have problems with people's bones and this, that, and the other. I mean, there are other things that happen. Okay, but there are things that a lot of people don't realize that glands do,
Mm-hmm.
like regulate calcium in the body. Oh, having dental issues all the time, cavities everywhere, could be a calcium problem.
Right. Yeah.
There's a gland for that. Again, getting sick all the time. There's a gland for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good place to start
Mm-hmm.
and work your way from there. Start with this issue. Okay, got this issue, good. Okay, now what? Now we dig deeper. Now planetarily, the parts of the body are we looking at
Mm-hmm.
that you're having an issue with? Okay, well, there's a particular planet for that. There's a particular sign for that. What do we need to work?
Okay. Okay.
On a person. Again, healers.
Mm-hmm.
Great, I'm just going to move energy around. Okay. What are you doing? Are you making it worse? Are you making it better? Do you have any idea what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
What you're working on? Why you're working on it? What's the point? How do I do this? Are there things that I need
Mm-hmm.
in order to help facilitate this? Like, what herbs might I need? What crystals and stones do I need to work with? Animal totem energy, metals. You have no idea if you have no idea what you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
You're just taking a big guess out there. And it's better if you can write your own kind of prescription. Okay. Hey, we need to start here and here and here and here and here and here and go there and see if we can work that out and
Right,
how that
right.
works.
Mm-hmm.
Not make it dramatically problematic for the patient,
Right.
for the client. We don't want to harm them while we're helping them.
Oh
You
no,
know,
and don't want to send them into a healing crisis either.
right? Yes, yeah, and that happens often.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times because there are people out there that believe that you can just keep shoving energy into somebody,
Oof.
and it's not bad. It'll never be bad. It's like, what? How has that ever worked
Oof.
for anything? Just projecting energy into someone,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that they're going to be all right. No, sometimes there's too much of one and not enough of another. There's usually an imbalance somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Find that. Like, well, how do you do that? Understand your aura. How do I do that? Understand your chakras and the
Right. Yeah.
planets
Yeah.
and
For
the
sure.
signs. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Then you can, because your aura is going to interact with theirs and it's going to tell you things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which we talked about before.
Right. Right.
Okay. But again, the microcosm, your body is just like the universe,
Right.
you know. And we didn't even get into the mind breakdown,
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the mind yet.
you know, because the mind breaks down also
Right.
into the soul of the universe, in the spirit of the universe. Okay, so the soul of the universe, you know, when you look at your mind is made up of 4 parts, essentially.
Mm.
Okay, and they're elemental. You have your spirit, which is fire. You have your intelligence, which is air. You have your soul, which is water, right? And you have your brain, which is earth, houses the whole thing. Okay, so your soul, those are your potentials. Okay, it's your potential, it's your fate.
Mm-hmm.
You think about fate. Okay, it's anything you could possibly be. But there's not like 20,000 potentials. It's potential. Your potential is anything you could possibly be.
It's all there.
It's all there.
It's all. Yeah.
This is what you're fated to do at some
Mm-hmm.
point. Okay? And fate is very broad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And what else is it? It's emotional. It's felt. You feel it.
Yeah.
It's where your emotions lie.
Mm-hmm.
Without it, you'd be a sociopath or a psychopath. Well, actually, you'd be a sociopath, not a psychopath. You'd be more of a sociopath. And even sociopaths feel something.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't feel enough.
Right. Right.
Psychopaths the same way. You always have. There's always something you feel. If you don't, you're a robot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and that's horrifying. You know, and we're talking like horror movies. But that is your first breakdown of the soul of the world. That's the water aspect of it. Okay, the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next part is the earth aspect of it. Okay, it's your brain. What
Mm-hmm.
does your brain do? Your brain is your housing, right?
Right.
It's the physical part that holds all of that together. That's where your spirit is. That's where your intelligence is, right? That's where your emotions are. Boom, they're up here. Again, your mind is a breakdown. Spirit of the world, or spirit of the universe, soul of the universe. Right now, we're breaking down the soul of the universe. So again, all of this is the soul of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Physical, okay? It's your form. It's the form it takes on. The neurons, pathways,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything that makes my brain different than your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Earth. Earth is control of that. Okay? That's the breakdown within the mind. Now, the spirit of the universe is what?
Oh, it's fire and air, so it's going to be spirit and intelligence.
Yep, spirit intelligence. So spirit, okay? What is spirit? Well, we've got soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we said soul was potential, fate. Your spirit are the choices and destiny. Like, wasn't destiny and fate the same thing? No. Fate is your potential. Anything you could be. Okay? Destiny is what you've chosen to do with it.
It's the paths you take,
It's
yeah.
the path. It's the choices you make. Okay. It's also your drive
Mm.
to do anything, something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's your spirit. It's fire. Okay. Spirit of the universe. Spirit of the universe is also intelligence. That's the air aspect of it. Okay. What is that? Okay. Choice and destinies. That's spirit. Now we have intelligence, and that is process. How do you process anything? That's what intelligence does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's thoughts and it's communication. Any form of communication is air. Where water is feelings, air is thoughts. Completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All of those together make up your mind, but the entire thing is is a divided soul of the universe, spirit of the universe. Okay? But what else is the spirit of the universe that we haven't talked about yet? Starts with an A. Everybody's
Oh, it's the aether. It's the quintessence. Yes.
yes, aether in the quintessence. It connects everything.
It's
It's the way,
this.
it's the vehicle the all uses
Mm,
to connect to everything.
it's this. This new thing that I'm hearing about online now. That people have been talking about for a few years now, I guess. But this quantum field that connects everything.
Okay, you can call it a quantum field. It's aether. You know, and
That's
that's way back.
yeah.
We're talking Pythagoras with that.
Right. Right.
You know, it's not an element. People call it the fifth element. It is not an element. All the elements transmutate from one to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Aether does not. Aether transfuses through all things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it can't be proven, because it doesn't have a physical effect on anything that it transfuses through.
Right.
It has a spiritual effect on it, but there's no physical effect. It doesn't move molecules out of the way. It doesn't do
Mm-hmm.
anything. It it can, however, have an effect on, what would you call it, processes, or, well, it can have an effect on anything. It just doesn't do it by moving anything out of its way, by causing motion,
It doesn't.
by
Yeah.
using direct energy. It doesn't
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
It does it spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's the mystic aspect of things. That mysticism, things that don't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
like a platypus. Right? Man with the lays eggs. What? Come on now. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Or hydrogen,
Well, that's
molecule that doesn't have neutrons.
right.
It's two, not three. It should be
It's
three because of
two.
refraction.
It too, but it still exists in three-dimensional reality.
Exactly. Aether.
How does this
Yeah,
work?
aether. What? Come on now. Wait a minute. So again, but two-dimensional reality exists in three-dimensional reality, and that's one way to prove it. Just sit
Right.
there and
Right.
go hydrogen right there. Okay.
Mm.
Or if you're a Star Trek fan, one wheel one wheel circling, one satellite circling. Oh. And that's what it was. For that whole goofy episode. Anyway, that's the breakdown of the mind. So it's not just a physical breakdown of your body, it's also an energetic breakdown inside of your mind, how you work. All right. Now, aether, we were talking about it. It's connection. It sends and receives messages from the body to the brain and back. Okay? It sends heat through the body, electricity through the nerves, creating life. That's aether. You can't reproduce aether.
Mm-hmm.
You don't create aether. It's just there. Aether creates itself, essentially, and creates things through itself. But it's not you individually. It's not me individually. It's the thing that unites everything. It's union. Everybody talks about unity, unity, unity. They're talking about ether.
Mhm.
That's what it does. It's how the all is still a part of us. It gives us life and death. And it connects everything together. It's why we don't fly apart.
Right.
It's why the planets don't fly apart.
Mhm.
Well, that's just gravity. It's not just gravity. There are things that are way too far from each other to have that effect that's still,
They're still being held together.
yep,
Yeah.
it's still being held together. That's ether.
Yeah.
That's what it does. It's kind of the
Interesting.
glue. It's the
Right.
spiritual glue that
Right.
holds
Right.
all matter together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
regardless of the four forces of nature.
Right.
So it's outside of the four elements. But the four elements are the four forces of nature. This is
Mm-hmm.
outside of that.
Right.
This is like that invisible sphere that everything is contained in.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the sphere itself is contained within itself. Yeah, no, you know, okay.
Okay.
So it's not a sphere, it's not a shell on the outside. The sphere isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's more like a marble. It's just not solid.
Okay. Okay.
In a sense, it's not, but in a sense, it is. Because, again, it's the all. Okay?
I see. I see.
Because we're not
I can.
stuck like you would be inside of a marble.
I
However,
can.
it's,
I can conceptualize
yeah,
what you're saying now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Wow. That took a very deep turn.
Well, he's like, well, what's outside of the sphere? Nothing. That's what's outside of the sphere. Nothing. The all is everything and
Right.
nothing. So what's outside of the sphere? Nothing and everything.
Oh, that's just that's you get these questions every once in a while.
Right.
What's outside of our visible universe?
Right.
Does it matter?
No, not to us. It shouldn't matter to us. And it shouldn't matter to anybody because it's not practical.
Right.
Who cares? We don't live outside of it. If you don't live outside of it, why do you care what's going on outside of it?
Right.
You can't affect it. You don't need to affect it. You don't exist.
Well, as far as we're concerned, because it has no practical bearing on us, nothing.
Right.
But again, it has no practical bearing.
Yeah. It doesn't have a practical bearing.
And like you said, it's still part of the all.
Yes. Yeah.
So from a practical aspect, from a metaphysical aspect, it doesn't
Matter.
matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. It doesn't matter at all.
Hmm.
What matters is this, where we are.
Right.
That's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what matters, the things that really matter are, well, let's talk about consciousness and unconsciousness again. It's the soul of the universe. Okay.
Right. Right.
It's like, well, what is that? Everything in the universe that is consolidated in any form is conscious of itself. I've had people go, what? It's like, yeah, this chair knows it's not the floor, or it would go through the floor.
Right.
At some level, this
it
chair
would be
knows it's
fused.
different than the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a part of it. The floor knows it's not a part. It's not a part of the wall downstairs.
Wow. Yeah.
Every form of matter knows this at some
Mm-hmm.
level. It's conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
The unconscious aspects are going to be the water, not
Mm-hmm.
the earth. That's all the earth aspect. The water is the unconscious aspect. It doesn't know. It's the liquefied
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel. It's the flow. It's the waves.
Mm-hmm.
It's the part that doesn't have to be consciously aware.
Okay.
because it can dissolve within itself.
Mm-hmm.
At a level, though, there is water that knows consciously because everything's intermixed here, right?
Oh yeah, ice.
Ocean,
Yeah, ocean.
ice. Drop of water on the table, stays together, doesn't just split completely apart.
Yeah,
That's earth and water working together.
and
The
not
earth
absor-
aspect
and not
is the
absorbing
part
into
that
the
knows
table.
that
Yeah,
it's not, yeah, it's not absorbed into the table. It's there.
interesting. Okay,
Yep.
but again, yeah, yeah, okay. Grossness that doesn't overstep its bounds.
Yes. And it doesn't overstep its bounds because of earth.
Right.
Its connection to earth. Yeah, it's strange, but that's how that
Mm.
works. And again, the more you understand that, the more you understand the interrelationship between the elements, the better you understand yourself and
Mm-hmm.
understand anybody you're doing a healing on or anything you're trying to manifest in
Mm-hmm.
your life. You have to understand the relationships between them,
Right.
how everything works. Yeah. So I think that
Purely fascinating, but yeah.
I think that is enough discussion on the breakdown of the soul of the universe, the microcosm,
All right.
and the macrocosm, I guess,
Yeah.
of the soul of the universe and the spirit of the universe.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we do look forward to seeing you next time. Remember to like and subscribe.